The room froze. The jazz seemed to fade into a distant buzz, drowned out by the pounding of my heart. Someone gasped, probably my sister Lily. A fork clattered against a plate, maybe my mom's. Every eye turned to me, waiting for me to scream, to cry, to collapse. But Nathan wasn't done. He squared his shoulders and looked straight at me, his voice calm like he was explaining a business deal. Emily, I'm sorry, but our marriage isn't working. You can't give me what I need, a family. I've waited long enough, and I can't keep waiting for something that's never going to happen. Sarah's moving in with us. My mother-in-law, Mrs. Carter, nodded from her seat, her lips curling in that familiar judgmental way. Nathan's right, dear, she said, her tone sharp. 5 years and not even a hint of a child. We can't wait forever for someone who can't deliver. The word Barren hit me like a slap, burning my cheeks. Around the table, faces stared. Some shocked, some pitying, some hungry for drama. My best friend, Ava, squeezed my hand under the table, her grip tight and warm. The air felt heavy, pressing down on me from all sides. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't hurl my glass at Nathan's smug face. Instead, I stood slow and steady, placed my napkin neatly beside my untouched plate, and grabbed my purse. My heels clicked against the polished floor as I walked to the door, every step deliberate, every eye following me. Behind me, Sarah's laugh rang out, sharp and triumphant, and Nathan's voice carried, "Well, that went better than I hoped." I stepped into the chilly October night, leaving behind the life I thought I'd built, and the man I thought I'd loved forever. But Nathan had no idea that his betrayal had just sparked a fire in me, a fire that would burn his world to ashes and light the way to my own rebirth. My name is Emily Harper Carter, or at least it was. I'm 34 now, but back then at 29, I thought I'd found my happily ever after when I married Nathan. He was everything I'd dreamed of. A charming lawyer from a wealthy family, with a smile that could melt hearts and a knack for making me feel like I was the center of his world. I was a young architect, fresh off landing my dream job at Harper & Stone Designs, thrilled to be designing homes for families across the city. Nathan swept me off my feet with lavish dinners, weekend trips to the coast, and promises of a future filled with love. Our wedding was a fairy tale, me in a flowing gown with my grandmother's sapphire necklace, Nathan gazing at me like I was his everything. Even his mother, Patricia Carter, managed a smile that day, though it faded fast when the champagne started flowing. For the first 2 years, our marriage felt like a dream. We bought a gorgeous craftsman-style house on Willow Lane, the kind with creaky floors and stained glass windows that caught the morning light. The deed was in my name alone, my credit was better, and I'd used my savings for the down payment. Nathan insisted we keep our finances separate, for tax reasons, he said. I was too in love to question it, too caught up in our perfect life to see the cracks forming. By year 3, the pressure started. Patricia's pointed questions about babies at every family dinner. Nathan's growing obsession with starting a family. My own excitement at the thought of being a mom, of filling our home with laughter and tiny footsteps. I'd always wanted a family, a warm, chaotic home like the one I grew up in. But year 4 brought heartbreak. Doctor visits, tests, procedures, all paid for from my own account while Nathan grumbled about the cost. The news was crushing. My chances of conceiving naturally were slim. The doctor suggested expensive fertility treatments, and Nathan agreed to try them, but only half-heartedly, pulling away with each failed cycle. By year 5, our marriage was a shadow of itself. Nathan worked late, his phone buzzing constantly. Sarah, his new assistant, was always around, her flirty smiles, her hand lingering on his arm at office parties. Our bed grew cold, his touch distant, his excuses piling up. I threw myself into my work, designing stunning homes for other families while mine fell apart. I won awards, earned promotions, became one of the city's top architects. But at night, lying next to a husband who flinched when I reached for him, I wondered if I'd ever be enough. Ava tried to warn me. My best friend since college, she'd seen the signs I ignored. Over coffee, she'd ask about Nathan's late nights, the shadows under my eyes, the way I'd stopped smiling. "Emily, you can tell me anything," she said one afternoon, her voice gentle. "If something's wrong." But I brushed her off, defending Nathan, clinging to the lie that our marriage was fine. I couldn't face the truth, not yet. That night, walking into our house after the anniversary disaster, the silence felt wrong, heavy. The photos on the mantel, our wedding, our vacations, mocked me with their fake happiness. I stood in the foyer, still in my emerald green anniversary dress, and let the truth sink in. 5 years of marriage, 7 months of betrayal, one moment that shattered everything. But as I climbed the stairs to our bedroom, something new stirred inside me. Not sadness, but a sharp, burning anger. Nathan thought he could break me, replace me, humiliate me. He was wrong. The weeks before that dinner had been a slow unraveling, though I was too blind to see it then. Nathan started showering twice a day, switching from the cedar cologne I loved to something sleek and modern. His phone, once left carelessly on the counter, was now glued to his hand, even in the bathroom. He'd smile at texts he never shared, brushing them off as work stuff. His late nights multiplied, high-profile cases, he said, requiring his personal touch. He'd come home after midnight, smelling of perfume and red wine, claiming he'd been wining and dining clients. "You wouldn't like those boring dinners, Emily," he'd say. All legal talk. I believed him because I wanted to, because the alternative was too painful. Our intimacy, already strained by years of scheduled tries for a baby, vanished completely. When I reached for him, he'd claim exhaustion, stress, the pressure of his job. "Once things calm down," he'd promise, then turn away in our too-big bed. Patricia's visits grew more frequent, her comments sharper. "Nathan needs a son to carry on the Carter name," she'd say, eyeing my stomach with disappointment. "Every month you waste is a month we lose." I wanted to scream that it wasn't my choice, that I was trying, that her son was the one pulling away. Instead, I smiled and poured her tea. The anniversary dinner was Nathan's idea. He suggested Chez Amour, the fancy French restaurant where we'd had our first date. "Let's make it big," he said. "Invite everyone, our families, our friends. 5 years deserves a celebration." I was thrilled, seeing it as a chance to reconnect, to start over. I bought a new dress, spent hours picking out the perfect gift. A vintage pocket watch that reminded me of his grandfather's. That morning Nathan was sweet, bringing me coffee in bed, kissing my forehead, telling me I looked beautiful. "Tonight's going to be special," he said. "I have something big to share." I thought he meant adoption, or maybe the fertility treatments I'd been researching. I spent the day getting ready, feeling hopeful for the first time in months. Ava came over to help with my makeup, chatting about her new job and my latest projects. "You seem happy today," she said, brushing blush across my cheeks. "Nathan and I are turning things around," I told her. "A fresh start." She hesitated, her brush pausing. "Emily, have you noticed anything off about Nathan lately?" My stomach tightened, but I laughed it off. "Not today, Ava. Today's about us." She didn't push, but her silence said enough. At the restaurant, I felt like a princess. My dress hugged my curves, my hair glowed in the candlelight, and Nathan held my hand as we greeted our guests. My parents were there, beaming. Lily and her husband laughing. Ava and her boyfriend smiling warmly. Patricia sat at the head of the table, regal and cold. The night felt magical, wine flowing, stories shared, laughter filling the air. Nathan gave a toast about love and commitment, and I felt tears of gratitude in my eyes. Then he stood again. "One more thing," he said, and the room went quiet. I smiled, my heart racing with anticipation. That's when he dropped the bomb. "Sarah pregnant, his child." The world slowed. Sarah stood, her hand on her belly, glowing with pride. Gasps echoed around the table. Patricia nodded approvingly. My mom whispered, "Oh God." And Nathan looked at me, his eyes cold. "It's not my fault, Emily. You can't give me a child. A man needs a legacy." My glass slipped, the champagne pooling on the tablecloth. Something inside me broke, but something else was born. Something fierce and unbreakable. I drove home through streets that felt foreign, every familiar place. The cafe where we had Sunday brunches, the park where we'd planned our future. Now a reminder of my blindness. The house was dark when I pulled into the driveway. Our driveway, I thought, then laughed bitterly. It was my driveway, my house bought with my money. Inside, I kicked off my heels and poured myself a glass of Nathan's prized Bordeaux. My phone buzzed with texts from friends and family, but I ignored them all except Ava's. "I'm coming over. Don't open the door for anyone else." She arrived with ice cream, tissues, and a bottle of whiskey, but when she saw my face, she froze. "Emily, you're not crying. You look angry." I am angry, I said, my voice steady. We sat in my kitchen, the one I'd designed with love, and I spilled everything. The lies, the distance, the fertility treatments I'd paid for alone, the house I'd bought, the career I'd built while Nathan coasted on his family's name. 7 months, I said, my anger burning hotter. She's 7 months pregnant, Ava. He was with her while I was injecting myself with hormones, hoping for a miracle. Ava's eyes narrowed. What are you going to do? I didn't know yet, but I knew I wasn't the old Emily, the one who'd wait for Nathan to explain, to fix things. I was done waiting. I marched to Nathan's office, a sleek space I'd designed for him with custom bookshelves and perfect light. His computer was on, unprotected, because why would sweet, trusting Emily ever snoop? Within minutes I found it all. Emails with Sarah going back a year. Photos that made my stomach churn. Bank records showing gifts and dinners I'd never seen. Hotel bookings for work trips. I screenshot everything, emailed it to myself, and copied it to a USB drive Ava found in his desk. Emily, are you okay? She asked, watching me work like a machine. I'm better than okay, I said. I'm awake. I packed essentials, clothes, documents, my grandmother's jewelry, moving through our bedroom with surgical precision. In Nathan's drawer I found more. A receipt for a necklace I'd never worn, love notes in Sarah's handwriting, a pregnancy test dated months ago. I photographed it all. Ava helped me load my car. Where are you going? She asked. Lily's for tonight, I said. Tomorrow I fight. We stood in the driveway, looking at the house I'd once loved. He has no idea what's coming, does he? Ava asked. I smiled, feeling a spark of power. Not a clue. I drove away at 2 a.m., leaving behind 5 years of marriage and taking with me something far more valuable. The truth. Nathan came home at 4 a.m., probably expecting to find me crying in bed. Instead, he found an empty house and a storm brewing. I woke up at Lily's feeling strangely calm. The sunlight streaming through her guest room felt like a new beginning. Lily knocked, bringing coffee and worry. How are you holding up? Better than I thought, I said, sipping the coffee. I need your laptop. I have work to do. She frowned. Emily, you don't have to do this today. I've been waiting too long already, I said. I ignored Nathan's 37 missed calls and deleted his voicemails. By 8 a.m., I was in my sharpest suit, sitting at Lily's table with my laptop, the USB drive, and a plan. I called in sick to work, then called Rachel Morgan, the city's fiercest divorce lawyer. Her reputation was legendary. She'd taken down powerful men and left them with nothing but regrets. Miss Harper, the whole city's buzzing about last night, she said, her voice crisp. I know why you're calling. My cheeks burned, but I stayed calm. Then you know what I need. Bring everything you have. I'll see you this afternoon. Next, I called my financial advisor, Karen. I need a full audit of my accounts and assets, I told her. Something's happened, and I need to know where I stand. The numbers were clear. The house was mine, the down payment from my savings, the mortgage paid from my account. Our joint savings were mostly my contributions. The mountain cabin we owned? Bought with my firm's bonus. Nathan had been living large on my dime while building a secret life with Sarah. At 2 p.m., I sat in Rachel's sleek office, handing over the USB drive, financial records, and a timeline of Nathan's affair. She reviewed it all, her eyes sharp. Your husband made some serious mistakes, she said, a smile tugging at her lips. He's been using your money to fund his affair, hotels, gifts, dinners. That's dissipation of assets and courts hate it. Plus, he's been emailing about the pregnancy on company time. If his firm has an ethics clause. Her smile turned wicked. We've got him, Emily. Let's make him pay. We spent 2 hours planning. A divorce filing citing adultery, demands for restitution, spousal support, and a clean break that left me with everything I'd earned. What about his family money? I asked. Never mix with your assets, Rachel said. He's got no claim to yours either. Are you sure you want to move this fast? Rachel asked as I stood to leave. Some try mediation first. I thought of Nathan's smug face, Patricia's cruel words, the nights I'd blamed myself while he built a family with someone else. No mediation, I said. Serve him tomorrow at his office. Make it public. Rachel grinned. Consider it done. That night I soaked in Lily's bathtub, sipping wine and planning. Nathan thought he'd won by humiliating me. He didn't know he'd handed me the tools to dismantle his life. The process server found him at 9:15 a.m. in the lobby of Carter & Wells, surrounded by colleagues. Rachel's investigator sent me a photo. Nathan's face pale with shock as he held the divorce papers. By 10 a.m. he was at Lily's, banging on the door, shouting my name. "Emily, this is crazy. We can work this out. Sarah won't move in." Lily called the police, and I watched from the window as they escorted him away. Rachel called at 11 a.m. "His firm's not happy," she said. "They're suggesting a leave of absence. His drama's bad for their image." Carter & Wells prided itself on family values. An adulterous partner didn't fit the brand. "There's more," Rachel added. "His income's been much lower than he claimed. He's been lying about his success." The lies kept piling up. By afternoon, social media was ablaze. Someone at the restaurant had posted a video of Nathan's announcement and my exit. The comments were a wave of support. "She's a queen. He's trash, but she's unstoppable." Ava sent me the best ones and I smiled, feeling the tide turning. I called my boss, David Stone, to explain. "Take all the time you need," he said. "Actually, I'd like to come in tomorrow," I replied. "I have a proposal." That evening, I returned to the house. Nathan's car was there, the lights on. I walked in and he rushed to the door, looking like a man who hadn't slept. "Emily, thank God. This is all a misunderstanding." I stepped past him. "I'm here for my things," I said. He followed me upstairs, babbling. "The baby wasn't planned. I was going to tell you privately." "When?" I asked, pulling clothes from the closet. "After she had the baby? After you married her." He flinched. "I didn't mean to hurt you. You decided I wasn't enough," I said, my voice ice cold. "You lied for 7 months, spent my money on her. Let me blame myself while you built a new family." He had no answer. I packed, then turned to him. "I'll be back for the rest this weekend. Be gone by then." "This is my house too," he protested. "Check the deed," I said. "It's mine." I walked out head high. Rachel called that night. "His lawyer wants to settle," she said. "He's desperate to keep this quiet. He's agreeing to restitution, spousal support, and giving up any claim to the house." I smiled in the dark of Lily's guest room. "And his job?" "On leave," Rachel said. "His firm's not happy." Nathan's perfect life was crumbling just as I'd planned. 3 weeks later, I walked into Harper & Stone, feeling like a new woman. David greeted me warmly. "You look stronger," he said. "I am," I replied. I spread out my proposal. A new firm, Empower Designs, focused on homes for women rebuilding their lives. Divorced women, single moms, widows, young professionals. Ava joined us, presenting her interior design expertise. "We want to create spaces that celebrate independence," she said. We pitched homes designed for real lives. Flexible, beautiful, empowering. "We have 3 clients already," I told David. "Women who heard about my story and want what we're offering." He was impressed but cautious. "Starting a firm is huge, Emily." "I'm ready," I said. "And I want to partner with you, not compete." By the end of the meeting, we had a deal. 3 months later, the divorce was final. I kept the house, got a hefty settlement, and walked away wealthier than when I'd married Nathan. He'd been fired from his firm, moved in with Sarah, and was cut off from his family's money by Patricia, who wasn't thrilled about her adulterous son's new child. Empower Designs launched and our client list grew fast. Women wanted homes designed by someone who understood their journeys. A year later, I stood in my living room, now fully mine, hanging art I'd chosen with Ava. "Do you ever think about him?" she asked. "I think about the lesson," I said. "I'm stronger now. I'm helping other women find their strength." My home was my sanctuary, every room redesigned to reflect me. The kitchen where I cooked for joy, the bedroom filled with my favorite books, the office where I created for others. 2 years after that night, I ran into Nathan at a cafe. He looked worn, his suit cheap, his eyes tired. "Emily, you look amazing," he said, standing awkwardly. "I've been thinking about calling you. I messed up." I smiled calm. "We're in different places now, Nathan." He sighed. "Lydia and I, It's not what I thought. The baby's great, but... He trailed off, looking lost. I see now what I lost. You didn't lose me, I said. You chose something else. And that choice made me who I am. I walked away, feeling lighter than ever. 3 years later, Empower Design celebrated its 3rd anniversary with a gala in my backyard. Clients, colleagues, and friends gathered under twinkling lights. Ava toasted our success. Emily turned pain into power, building homes for women to thrive. The applause was warm and I felt complete, not because I'd won, but because I'd become myself. 4 years after the betrayal, I opened an art studio as a side venture, designing dresses and painting for fun. One evening, Patricia called. Emily, I owe you an apology, she said, her voice soft. I was wrong about you, about Daniel. I raised him to think he could have everything, and he's miserable now. I was stunned. He asks about you, she said. I wish him well, I replied. But that's not my life anymore. 5 years later, Empower Designs was featured in a national exhibit, Spaces of Strength. My designs, paired with client stories, inspired thousands. At the opening, I saw Nathan in the crowd, staring at my transformed house. He approached, nervous. You've done something incredible, he said. I see now what I threw away. I'm not that woman anymore, I told him. I'm happy, Nathan. I built this life. He nodded, defeated. I hope you find peace, I said, then walked away with Ava, toward a future I'd crafted myself. 6 years later, I stood on the balcony of a new office, Empower Design's 2nd location. We'd expanded to 3 cities, with a team of women designers who shared our vision. I'd adopted a rescue dog, Luna, who curled up at my feet as I sketched new plans. My home was a haven filled with art, laughter, and friends. I mentored young women, spoke at conferences, and even designed a community center for single mothers. Nathan's name rarely crossed my mind, but when it did, it was with pity, not pain. 7 years after that night, I got an email from Sarah. She'd left Nathan, raising their son alone, and wanted to hire us to design her new home. I heard what you do, she wrote. I want a space for me and my boy to start over. I took the job not out of spite, but because I understood her need to rebuild. 8 years later, I stood in my backyard, now a lush garden, hosting a fundraiser for women's shelters. As I looked at the life I'd built, friends, purpose, freedom, I realized Nathan's betrayal had been a gift. It had forced me to find my strength, to become a woman who didn't need anyone's approval to shine. And that was the greatest victory of all.